Going on, guys? Rajiknight coming at you once again with some more Elder Scrolls Online Tamriel Unlimited for the PlayStation 4. And today, I actually want to do something a little bit different and go over some vampire PVE builds. Now, I know one of the first things people ask is, why do you worry about the PVE when vampire is clearly designed for the PvP? And the answer is actually pretty simple. You're going to need more help when it comes to the PvE than you are with the PvP. PvP is usually going to either be one-on-one or you're just going to get completely outnumbered. In which case, if you use the ultimate right there, you can see it just does massive amounts of damage to everything around it. So let's get over here so that way when those guys spawn back in, ooh, here's a chest. So we'll go ahead and get this chest real quick. But with PvP, your vampire abilities in and of themselves are typically going to be enough to get you by. The two main abilities that you're going to use for that are your Drain Essence ability and your ultimate. And they will pretty much keep you alive as long as you don't end up facing too many opponents at one time. You're already going to be able to do a lot of damage and even keep yourself alive depending on if you've morphed the abilities or not. And that's something that we're going to talk about here. So we're just going to pull up the little skill tree and I'm going to show you guys my build that I have so far. Now, because I am a vampire, vampires rely on magic, so I wanted to have some magic abilities. I am a Dragon Knight, and this is of course going to be a Dragon Knight build. And this is only one possible build. I cannot stress that enough. There are multiple builds that you could do, each one of them having different strengths and everything else. But for my magic, because vampires are weak to fire, and so are werewolves, and those two tend to be the strongest PvP builds, I wanted to make sure that I had some fire, because they're also very useful whenever you're doing PvE. So I went ahead and got a couple of different things: the Dragon Knight Standard, Empowering Chains, and Unstable Flame, which are just three of the first things that you unlock as a Dragon Knight, but I don't even use them. Draconic Power, I do have a couple of those, but again, I don't use them anymore. Draconic Power is actually, if you use the ultimate, the Take Flight, that one can definitely be useful in PvE and in PvP. You can do massive amount of damage, and you can do it from a decent distance. Volatile Armor, which is the spiked armor after it's morphed, again, doesn't do too bad. Can definitely help you out in certain situations. But the first thing that you're going to want to look at is, what type of weapon are you going to use? For vampire, again, you're going to be using a lot of magic, but you don't want to rely solely on that, because at rank 15 you can use a backup. And so I have my one-handed, which I only use two of the abilities for, but I do have the perks, and I can actually go ahead and purchase this, but I'm not too worried about it right now. The only ones I use is Pierce Armor and Heroic Slash. Not too effective at range. Actually, these really don't have much of a range at all. It seems the hitboxes are off, and I don't know if that's something that they're going to eventually patch or not. But these two abilities have helped me out immensely in PvE. Haven't had a chance to use them too much in PvP though. If you dual wield, obviously you'll want something that you can use with that. Same thing with the bow. Particularly Poison Arrow Volley would be useful in PvE or in PvP. The second weapon that I use though is Destruction Staff. And you can see I actually have quite a bit of the abilities here, and the reason for this is, again, because I use magic as a vampire, I wanted to be able to really clean house with it. So one of the things that is a must if you're going to use it is weakness to elements. This is definitely going to help you out with the tougher enemies. Pulse Force is, again, something that I don't really use too often. I don't even think I have it equipped right now. Unstable Wall of Elements, again, something I don't actually use, but I did purchase so I can do it. And Destructive Reach. This is one that can be devastating to enemies. But the one thing that I definitely do is I go for all of these passive abilities, because the passive abilities are really going to help you out later on. Next thing is your armor. Now, if you're a mage, you're typically going to be tempted to go for the light armor, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, I go for the heavy armor because as a vampire, you're going to take a lot of damage from fire attacks, and so you're going to want a lot of armor to help you repel that damage. Now, I didn't worry about the active ability because that's just not something that I really needed. Most of my abilities that I actually put on are abilities that will deal damage. Rapid Mending is the next perk that I need to get for that, but I'm not going to worry about it just yet. And here you can see my vampire. It is maxed out at level 10. I have everything on this, and this is where I wanted to get to. Devouring Swarm is the ultimate, of course, and it's the first morph that you get. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to morph it again or not. I don't know exactly how the morphing works after you've maxed it out yet, but it does quite a bit of damage still. 925 magic damage to nearby enemies every second for 5 seconds. But it also heals me. So every time I charge my ultimate up and I use it, I get healed. So that's less health potions that I have to carry. And if I've already used my Invigorating Drain, which has again been morphed, then I can go ahead and hit that ultimate if I need a quick boost to my health, and it's actually a pretty great way to do it, especially if you have a crowd of enemies, because the Devouring Swarm will heal a good amount of health. It's 729 health from each affected enemy and gives it to you. So if I hit 10 enemies, that's going to be 7,290 health that I gain off of doing that. And then of course I have all of the passive abilities, including the Blood Ritual, which is how you bite other players. So going on down, I didn't worry about any of these guild abilities. I don't think I've even purchased any of them. No, I haven't gotten any of them. I may go back later and get some of these passives. I do know that I got, for the Mages Guild, the Persuasive Will and the Intimidating Presence for the Fighters Guild, just because it can save you a bit of gold on certain quests where you can intimidate or persuade somebody to do whatever it is you want. As you can see, I'm only a level 2 in the PvP. I have not spent a lot of time there, and the reason for that is because the campaign that I'm in, my alliance doesn't really have a strong presence there. We are severely outnumbered by the Aldemiri Dominion, and so it's completely unfair to go there. Next up, of course, your crafting skills, and this is where you're going to have to use some patience and some forethought. The best thing to do is to get together with some friends or join a guild that already has people dedicated to certain things, and just find the one thing that you want more than anything. For me is blacksmithing. I use blacksmithing for my own armor, and I also make armor for other guild members and weapons, and it's always heavy. Now I do also have some points in my clothing, and the reason I went ahead and did that's because we needed a backup clother, and I tinkered a little bit with mixing light and heavy armor, putting the robe on and mixing some heavy armor onto that to help boost the armor rating, and it does do well, but not as well as I wanted it to actually do. But that is about it as far as the build goes. For the abilities, you're not going to see a whole lot of different builds with the vampire. Most people are going to run with the same builds over and over again. And the reason is because there's not too many vampire abilities. And the ones that there are more than what you need, really. You don't need a whole lot with the vampire to be able to do very much. I mean, you can see here, this is my Drain Essence, and it does a good amount of damage. Now I can just throw on my Mist Form, which has been morphed, and you can see it's doing damage with just the Mist Form, and that's because my Mist Form does poison damage. Now over here I'm facing 3 enemies, so we're gonna go ahead and hit my ultimate, and you see my health just jump up, only facing 3 enemies, and it's still doing massive amounts of damage to them. So then I just come over here, whack them a few times, and that's it. that is pretty much all it takes. Now, I do out-level these guys a little. They are level 37s, I'm a level 41, so I should be able to beat them relatively easy. But that is about it for this. The best thing I can tell you is stick to what you know. If you have something that works for you, that you like doing, then stick with it and get your points in it, get your armor rating up, and get some points in your armor. As a vampire, that will definitely help you stay alive. And don't be afraid to use those abilities, because they are there to help you. And you can see I'm just taking these people out even with my magic staff, which is definitely one of my weaker abilities because I don't really use it a whole lot. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Just wanted to do a really quick video to let you guys see the build that I'm using. One last note that I wanted to put out is we are currently recruiting in my guild. Any members who, or anybody who wants to have a werewolf or vampire bite, we have werewolves and vampires. If you already have a werewolf or vampire bite, or you're already a werewolf vampire and you're working towards that bite, we welcome you to join, so long as you are not trying to sell your bites. I know there's a lot of people out there who are trying to be the good guy and give away the free bites, and we definitely welcome those people. But if you are in the Daggerfall Covenant and are on United States servers, North American servers, I cannot say that enough. Daggerfall Covenant, North American servers, leave a comment in the down below and put your PSN tag in there, and I will shoot you a guild invite. If you're in another faction and you have your bite, or if you want to wait and see if we get anybody in another faction that has a bite, you can leave your name down there below and I will still shoot you a guild invite. But right now we do not have a presence in the other guilds. We are hoping to eventually get there. Right now, as I am making this video, I can go ahead and show you. We are at 25 members, so we are moving up. We are about halfway to getting our guild store, which is our main goal. We really want to get that guild store so we can be able to start selling things for people. But other than that, that's all I have for you guys. Again, if you are looking for a bite, keep in mind that we can only bite once every week. We have 3 or 4 different vampires that are willing to bite, and I think we only have 1 werewolf right now. So we are definitely recruiting people who are willing to bite guild members. And if no guild members want to bite, then by all means go off and bite a random. We don't care. We don't really regulate anything outside of that, but we do not charge guild members for a bite. The only stipulation that we have as far as getting a bite if you join, and I know I say it's a free bite, and this kind of counteracts that, but it goes back to, nothing in life is free. We require that all members buy the guild tabard if they want to bite. You're not required to wear it at all times if you like the way your armor looks, or if you have your own guild or whatever. But we ask that you buy it because most people are not going to join a guild, spend the 2,000 gold to get the guild tabard just to get a bite and then leave the guild. So it's not necessarily a requirement as long as you stay in the guild for a while. So if we have a waiting list and you're in the guild for a month or 2 before you get your bite, we're not going to ask you if you have your tabard. But if you join the guild and within a few days you're going to be getting your bite, then we're going to ask you to buy the guild tabard just to give it that little bit of insurance that you're actually going to stick around and play with us and help us in the PvP, which we are gearing up for now. We are trying to get more members that are willing to PvP so that we can go in and capture some castles. But that's it for this video, guys. I appreciate you stopping by. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.